right now I'm going to make my attempt at the elephant, the Basi elephant that is replacing the little lost lynx that went out and was never seen again. So I am supposed to pick this in both directions, right side up in Basi here. So it's upside down for me in America here, but right side up for European standards. And so I'm supposed to pick it right side up like this and in both directions and tell a personal lockpicking story while I do it. So I am going to tell you the story. As embarrassing as it is, I'm going to tell you the story of the biggest mistake that I have made while lockpicking. And it all started shortly after I started picking and was getting the hang of things, getting through some easier locks pretty easily, so I was starting to get some confidence. So I went out and found a set of two Schlage Everest kick cylinders, and I was gonna get those and start learning how to do Everests. And I bought a kick adapter padlock so I could have a cool Schlage Everest padlock. And I got all excited once everything showed up and got it all keyed up. Actually, it came with a key, I think. So it was already keyed and everything. I just had to put it in the padlock. And I got super excited, got the padlock out of the box, got the kick cylinder ready to go. Made sure it worked, turned the key a couple times, everything seemed to work. So I was ready to make my padlock. So I stuck the cylinder in the padlock, screwed in the retainer screw, and locked up the padlock. I was all ready. I was like, yeah, this is super cool. And so I got my tools, started picking it. And I picked the Everest before, or seen it picked before. I knew what to do and everything, and I might have even picked one or two before. I knew the mechanics of how they worked and everything. So I got it all picked down to the check pin on the bottom. I stuck my pick in, lifted that little check pin, core turned, and the padlock shackle didn't move. And I just kind of sat there and stared and went, what? Why is the shackle not coming up? And I kind of looked around, thought, took my pick and everything out, put the key in, tried turning the key. The core turns, but the shackle's not coming up. What's going on? Is my lock defective? Is something broken? What did I do wrong? And I looked down at the table, still thinking, what did I do? What did I do? Why is this not working? And I realized I forgot to put the actuator cap piece or whatever it is on the back of the kick cylinder. So while the kick cylinder can turn, it's not actually hitting the locking mechanism on the inside of the padlock. So while the key turns, the core turns, nothing happens. And the lock is basically ruined. I mean, it's a ball bearing lock. There's no shimming it. There we go. So there is counterclockwise on the Basi. So I've got the padlock here. I'm gonna do a little show and tell while I take a break. So I've got this. This is what I'm talking about, the little actuator flap thing in the back. I put it in, locked it up and everything, and it turns and turns and nothing happens. It wouldn't unlock because that piece wasn't on there. and I realized it, and I couldn't believe it. So the core is screwed into the lock, and there's nothing I can do. I can't get it out. And I'm like, I just ruined my brand new padlock and my brand new Everest core. This is like, $25, $30 worth of stuff here that I just ruined. I was so devastated. And I'm racking my brain. What can I do? Who can I call? And I was like, maybe I can get one of those American lock bypass tools. Maybe that'll work. There's no... If that back piece isn't on there, it should be open to the back, just like an American lock would be. So I called up all the locksmiths in the area that I knew and asked them about that, if they had any of those bypass drivers, and none of them would even really talk to me about it. I don't know if they either just aren't really familiar with that kind of a tool, or if they don't want to be admitting to people that are calling that, hey, we've got a tool that can bypass a padlock in seconds. So they were of zero help to me. So I'm back to being this devastated guy who just ruined his brand new toy. And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out, what can I do? And so I tried a strange idea that I had. That I took a fairly thin tension wrench, stuck it all the way into the back of the keyway, and figured I'll try and pick the lock and turn it with this tension wrench in there, and that will act as that actuator in the back. Seemed like a great idea, except for the fact that they don't line up exactly. So you put the tension wrench in, it's not hitting that actuator. There we go. The actuator part in the back. I almost locked it back up. I'm like, oh, I've got a key. Well, the key's mummied, so I don't want to unmummy it if I don't have to. But yeah, so without this piece in the way, you can I just stuck a long tension wrench all the way through and stuck it out the back. So figuring I could pick the lock and rotate it with this in there. But they don't line up quite right. So when I picked it, I had to pick it, rotate the whole thing, and then it would lock back up at the top, and then there was a ton of tension on that tension wrench. So then I had to pick it a second time, and I had to pick it a second time to get the tension wrench to actually turn the actuator part in the back of the lock. And to my surprise, it actually worked. I couldn't believe it. I had salvaged this lock that I had thought was completely ruined with some very, very lucky key bitting that was kind of poor, so it gave me room to work and still pick with a tension wrench all the way through the keyhole. And just some very, very lucky picking, I guess. I don't even know how to describe it. Just absolute luck. There's no reason that should have worked out as well as it did for me. But I was able to salvage my brand new cylinder and padlock and everything, and today I still have it as a working padlock. I've kept the same core in there. I put the piece on the back, and I use it kind of as a reminder to, slow down when you're doing these things, when you're putting things back together and taking things apart, and don't mess things up. You gotta think about it, and kind of like that. I almost just pulled out the the back and realized, no, just give it a wiggle. And so let's see what we got here. So that's the story of the worst mistake that I had made and how it thankfully was salvaged and wasn't all lost, but I thought it was at the time. Let's actually go for springs too. It's probably got some different springs in here. Yep, different springs. So and as you can see, I finally got a pinning tweezers. No more ghetto regular tweezers for me. Just showed up today too, so that's kind of perfect timing. Got it from Sparrows. It's a little smaller than I was expecting. I was hoping for something a little more along the size of what I'd already had, but not the end of the world. It still works great, and it really helps to hang on to these pins. Well, that's a really long spring. So everything in the core looks standard. The Bible, I mean. And the core has some undercutting or counter milling. Undercutting, I guess it would be on 1. 2 and 3 are standard. Got more of that undercutting and counter milling type stuff on 4. And then we have some threading that we got threading in 5. And then for the pins, we have a nice spooled key pin. All of these seem to have tapered tops. They've all been kind of, you can definitely tell it on this black pin here. The top's been tapered down to make it easier to overset. But so we've got a spool on 1, standard on 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then up top we have a very nice deep spool, a very sharp edge. One of these kind of tiered, spooly serration things, kind of a spooled T-pin at the very bottom of it. Another one of the same type of thing, but a different thickness on each of them. Very, very, very sharp, deep, double spool serrations, whatever you want to call those. And another extremely sharp double spool on 5. So that is, come on, give me the right lighting here. The Basi, all the way from Germany. So pick both ways, gutted, and personal lockpicking story. So there you go, Potti. There is your challenge done. So I'll get this put back together and I'll look up who it's going to next and we'll get it off on its way. And look forward to seeing whoever's got it next. So thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to subscribe and we'll get more videos out to you soon.